Hello Alta Labs fans, Jeff Hansen here, and today we are going to be talking about Alta Labs channel planning feature, which has been out for a while, but we're going to go into more details on how it works and how to enable it. So it is actually enabled by default on every Alta Labs access point that you add into your network. You can see that it's enabled by default by going into a specific device, clicking on its icon, and seeing that the channel and bandwidth for both bands of this access point are set to auto. And so what this will do is every night they will designate an access point to be the leader. They will take all of the information from all the access points on the network, collect that all, and figure out a plan that works, that creates a non-overlapping channel plan that also optimizes your bandwidth along with your channel plan. And so yeah, it's a really cool feature. Once we released it, there were tons of issues with channel planning and RF interference that kind of went away. Because this avoids that automatically. It takes all the same data that you would typically get from a scan, either a quick scan or a full scan, and it'll actually take this all and figure out what channel. It'll identify which channels have the lowest interference, least number of interferers, and least strength of interferer. And so it'll use that information to figure out what channels to use. It'll also take all of that data and figure out which channels don't overlap so that you can have the cleanest connection for all of your clients on your network. So if you're doing something in one area, it doesn't necessarily impact the performance of any access points in any other areas. So yeah, it's enabled by default. If you do want to manually set the channel or the bandwidth, you can obviously do that. Another cool thing that you can do is if you, for whatever reason, want to go back, let's say you did choose a bunch of channels and you want to just reset, you can actually select a bunch of different access points here. So we'll go ahead and choose some access points to reset. You hit edit and you can turn on or off automatic channel bandwidth on each of these access points. It actually just turns it on per band. So if you want to do that, you just hit OK and it'll turn on automatic channel for all these access points that have been selected. Another thing that you can do to kind of tweak your settings of the auto channel algorithm that we have is you can go to your settings, under system settings, under advanced. There are some options here. Now on 2 gigahertz, you can actually choose whether or not to force 20 megahertz or 40 megahertz. One caveat here is even if you do choose 40 megahertz, a lot of times there will be Apple devices or other devices that will complain about other devices using 40 megahertz, and so your access point will a lot of times be forced to use 20 megahertz anyway. So you really don't need to touch this generally, but on 5 gigahertz there's a lot more spectrum there and less problems, so you can actually choose which bandwidth. And so if you're in a low density environment like a home or somewhere where there's a lot of spectrum available in 5 gigahertz, you can set it to 80 megahertz or even 160 megahertz, and it'll use those channels when it does the channel planning. Okay, then we have a couple other options here. So you can actually enable or disable DFS channels from being selected in the plan. So if you want to stay away from DFS, this is a way to do that. In general, we do recommend that you use DFS as much as you possibly can, just because it's a lot clearer, there's a lot less interference, and you're going to get a lot better speeds generally when you enable DFS. A couple other options here. We have channel restrictions that you can enable. So by default, there will be a 1-6-11 strategy that's used for 2 gigahertz, and that's just because those are the only channels that are non-overlapping. Now, there may be some people who want to try 1-5-9-13. And this is where you would do that. You can take out 5, you can add 6, you can take out 13, take out 9, add 11. And then you can, if you want to use a 1-5-9-13, they're not quite completely non-overlapping, but there are some cases where that makes sense to do that. And so that's where you would do that here. So it gives you 4 channels in 2 gigahertz instead of 3 to work with. The other thing too is in 5 gigahertz, let's say you're in a stadium or a deployment where there's cameras or some other AV equipment that's using a specific channel, you can actually notch that out here so that channel is not used, and then the next time it does the channel plan, it will make sure that channel is avoided when it's doing the planning. The other thing you can do here is you can actually tell it to do the planning right now. One little pro tip, you can also hit the shift button. So if you want to do a quick replan, which is exactly what happens at 2 a.m. in the morning on the leader access point, it checks all of the channel information from all the access points. That's what this quick replan is. And so it'll calculate the channels. This is actually running on an access point right now. And then it figures out the channel plan and updates it in real time. Now normally, unless there's something really disruptive or a lot of interference, the channel plan doesn't change a whole lot after it's first been implemented. And that's because client devices, they don't typically like it when a channel changes. So if there's no really good reason to switch channels, it's just going to leave things as is. But if you want to do a full replan and just kind of see what that looks like, you can hold down the shift button and press this button, and it will throw away all data, all previous data that has been gathered, and it'll start from scratch, and it'll figure out your channel plan from scratch. If you want to see what channels were selected, you can go to your network, your dashboard here, and you can see which channels were selected after the channel plan has been implemented. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us at forum.alta.inc. But thanks for watching.